Everything had its structure. In fact, they were making me follow their rules, and I fought it.
But we treated everything like it was a surprise. Oh my gosh, the rent's due. Oh my gosh, the electricity's due. Oh my gosh, I have no clean clothes. Oh my gosh, we have no food.
Living in a state of chaos is hard. It is hard work.
So then we began to resent each other.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And today we want to talk to you about the importance of structure.
When you hear the word structure, what connotations come with that? For me, it sounds like be in a box. Do things exactly perfectly. Do it exactly like this. There's no freedom, there's no dreaming, there's no creativity. And so the word structure really puts me off.
You know, when I think of structure, I think of orderly. I think of discipline. I think of knowing when I'm going to start and knowing how I'm going to finish. I think of a way where I can get things accomplished once I begin to put the energy forth towards something, because I can see the end product, right? That's when I think of structure. I embrace it.
So when you hear the word structure, you're thinking of the word order. You're thinking something that's orderly, right? That's not chaotic. Instead of thinking like seeing structure as like a prison, seeing structure as something that's constraining, you're seeing structure as something that's productive.
Exactly, because if I look at it in the way that you're describing it, then I'm thinking somebody's holding me back. I'm thinking that somebody's trying to keep me from reaching my highest potential. But when I see structure, you know what? I need structure in my life because I can see what I'm doing and I know the end results. Right.
If you've been fighting against structure, I look back and the beginning of our journey, I hated structure. I did everything I could to avoid structure. But then I found myself in chaos all the time. In our relationship, it was like if there was no structure, that meant there were no boundaries. That meant that there was no consistency, which means no reliability.
And you know, when Cathy, you're describing that, I'm thinking about, when we first got together, there was no order, there was no discipline. It was total chaos. Why? Because we didn't have any structure. I didn't even know what structure was. I thought living check by check, job to job, right? Bill to bill, or whatever it was.
Hour by hour.
Hour by hour. I thought that was order. I thought that was structure. Come to find out, it was chaos.
It was chaos. We were always flying by the seat of our pants, never having a plan, and it created all kinds of chaos and dissension and division between us. And for me, it was a real wake-up call to say, wow, you know what? I actually need structure, and I want structure in our relationship in order to be able to make it flourish.
I want to share also that when you think about structure, this is learned behavior, right? Because children, we have to teach them structure. We have to teach them what time to get up, brush their teeth, go to bed, all these type of things. But now as we're adults and we find ourselves in an environment where, guess what? Grown men or grown women with little boy or little girl issues, now we need somebody else, a healthy adult, to show us, you know what? This is what you're missing in your life, structure.
That's exactly right. When you're a child, someone else has to put structure around you because you're not mature enough to create your own structure. So when we let chaos reign in our relationship, it spills over into every other area of our life. And then we find ourselves in a place where we can't control ourselves, so someone from outside of us imposes structure on us, and that is miserable.
You know, so it's time to have a courageous conversation. You know, when we didn't have order in our life, when we were running around like playing house instead of building house, two kids playing house, right? We found ourselves in a lot of trouble. Couldn't pay our bills, couldn't get a good car, because why? We were running the streets without any order.
And it created so much conflict in our relationship that we really didn't like each other. There was no structure, there were no rules, there was no way for us to connect and overcome all the chaos in our life. So if you want to avoid that, you do not want to miss today's show. We're going to talk about what the value of structure and the importance of structure is, and the difference between something that constrains you and something that actually sets you free.
So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
I'm your coach, Tremaine Hall. We're looking forward to getting you to the next level in where you want to be in fitness. Our whole method is to make you mentally tough and also physically strong. We're going to start with dynamic warm-up, lower core, upper body, and also full body blast. Get ready to take your fitness to the next level with TYRO Fit and Stenos.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. Today we're talking about structure in your life.
And structure is not a bad word. Structure brings balance. It brings opportunity to really have fun, right? And understand the value of fun and excitement in your relationship because you've created opportunity for all the other stuff to be taken care of. When you don't take care of anything, there's no structure and everything's chaos. You're living by the seat of your pants. Oh my goodness, there's no time for fun because everything evolves around conflict and figuring out what needs to happen next.
When you think about structure, you can think of like the emergency room, right? Without structure, you're always in triage. You're always in emergency mood. Oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And you're trying to do so many things at one time. Guess what? Nothing ever gets done. Why? Because you're living in a state of chaos where everything is important. Everything is fighting for your priorities. Everything is fighting for your attention. And therefore, you can't get nothing done. Why? Because you're living a life of chaos, not structure.
When you introduce structure into your relationship, and this is so important because, we know firsthand that the word structure is like, ew, we don't want structure. We just want to have fun. We want to be spontaneous. Well, there's a place where if you're spontaneous all the time, all you're doing is putting out all the fires of everything that's urgent, right? And so when you create structure, then you bring value to your relationship, then there is room, opportunity, time, and the right attitude for spontaneity. But if you don't cultivate that in your relationship, then this unstructured relationship turns into chaos, and we start looking for places that bring us structure. We stop coming home. We stop wanting to be with each other because instead of it being relaxing and fun, it's so stressful.
We're talking about structure. I'm reminded of when Cathy and I first got together, and it was chaotic, right? The only structure that we had in our life was what time I had to be at work and what time I clocked out. That was it. That was the only thing that I thought was expected of me. I show up to work on time, and I clock out right on the dime when I was supposed to. And then I come home to what? Chaos.
And so the whole time I'm like, it doesn't really matter. It didn't matter when we ate. It didn't matter if I did dishes, if I did laundry. If we did anything, every day was a decision. What should we do today? What do you want to do today? What should we eat today? So we're completely unprepared every time. So we would do this fly by the seat of our pants. We're going to keep saying that when you don't have structure. And so it's like, yeah, let's go do this. And so we'd go out, we'd spend money, and then we'd be like, oh, shoot, the electric bill came today. I forgot. Even though the electric bill came like clockwork every single month on the same day, it was always due at the same time, the 21st of the month. But somehow we consistently forgot about it because we had no structure in our life. So the 21st of the month comes, we get the electric bill, fight, like clockwork. Because well, you know what? You totally forgot that we were going to have that bill. And you, like at the last minute, said, hey, let's go out.
You know what,
that was a great idea.
When you think of that, every bill that we had was like the garbage bill, right? The car note. If we, when I remember I bought a car from Buy Here, Pay Here. Ever done that? Right? Everything had its structure. In fact, they were making me follow their rules, and I fought it.
But we treated everything like it was a surprise. Oh my gosh, the rent's due. Oh my gosh, the electricity's due. Oh my gosh, I have no clean clothes. Oh my gosh, we have no food.
Living in a state of chaos is hard. It is hard work.
So then we began to resent each other. And so
it was always her fault that we never had the bills on time.
Here's the truth. Right? It was his fault.
It was always her fault that we didn't have no food in the kitchen.
So the truth is it was our fault. We were balking against and refusing to allow structure into our life, even though in order to be functional as adults, we had to and should have had structure, and all it did was cause us to have electricity turned off, our water turned off, have our car repossessed, and all kinds of stress and tension between us because we never had expectations that were managed as far as how much money we could spend, the things that we could do together. We never planned anything. It was horrible.
Right now I'm thinking about the adults in our life when we were kids playing house.
Oh my.
What were they thinking when
they were watching
us?
this happen.
And they were just looking back and watching, boy, that's a wreck waiting to happen.
That's a train wreck, and they don't even see it, right? We couldn't see it because there was no structure, and all it was chaos. We couldn't even see the forest for the trees. We lived moment by moment, and it created a terrible legacy for us in our lives. It took a ton of effort to get that train back on tracks and create some structure. And initially, it was like we had to go from a place of total chaos to a place of complete and total lockdown so that we could find the balance that actually created healthy, strong, thriving, vibrant relationships in our family.
When we work with couples, one of the biggest struggles that we see that they have is the lack of structure.
Coming up, we're going to talk more about how to build structure in your relationship, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, sweetheart, you got that blank piece of paper that I need?
Sure do. Right here.
Well, that's not a blank piece of paper.
It obviously is a blank piece of paper.
This is not a blank piece of paper. Why is it that you always give me something that's not what I want?
You know what, Ron? It's obviously
I
blank.
do not
don't know
want
what you're
this. This is
complaining
not
about.
what I wanted.
Oh, no matter what I do, it's always wrong. You
What are
find
you
fault in
talking
everything.
about?
It's obviously
This is
a
not
blank piece of paper.
blank.
I am sick and
Why
tired
do
of
you
arguing all
always
the time.
trip
It's
in
never
this?
good
You
enough.
never
I'm
listen to what I'm
tired of
telling
you. I'm done.
Just stop! Wow, what did you just witness? I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And together we have been working with tens of thousands of couples for the last 2 decades.
And we have been helping couples understand that nobody's right and nobody's wrong. They're just each seeing it from their own perspective and unable to bridge together.
So when's the last time you were in a discussion with your significant other or your spouse and you had a disagreement over something so small that turned into something so big?
So many of the couples we work with have this experience where they argue about something because they only see it from their own perspective.
So I'm looking at it from my vantage point, and guess what? Frankly, I'm only want to see it my way, because it's my way or the what? The highway.
Over time, what happens is these issues start to pile up and they create more and more distance between couples. And so now we're arguing about every small thing because we have to defend our perspective.
As we began arguing, it really was apparent whose side I was on. I wasn't on her side and she wasn't on my side. In fact, we were on opposite teams.
We became enemies, and what was more important for us was to be right than for us to actually understand each other. When couples do this, they continue to erode their relationship. What you need to do is get the issues out from between you, move them out in front of you, and remember that you're a team able to navigate through anything together by seeing all sides of the issue.
Now remember, there is nothing more important than us.
If you are sick and tired of being on opposite sides and arguing over every small thing, then this is exactly where you need to be.
Now it's time to introduce you to a program that's going to teach you how to resolve these issues.
In this dynamic program that's internationally recognized, you're going to learn how to resolve conflict, how to get on the same page and listen for understanding. Couple communication, which was written by Dr. Sherrod Miller and Dr. Phyllis Miller, will actually help you be on the same team and recognize the power of resolving conflict together.
One of the greatest tools that you're going to embrace is really coming to the understanding that what you've been doing is natural. But this is learned behavior, and we're about ready to take you to a next level on how to enhance your relationship.
Now, if you're sick and tired of having all of these petty issues come between you, if you are exhausted from every time that you have interaction with your spouse, it turns into drama, then this is where you want to be. You want to sign up for couple communication. You want to take this program together, and I guarantee you that you are going to love it.
Before I even came, I had controlling issues. I had problems with actually being able to talk to my fiance. And since I've been here and learned new experienced efforts, I can change my life now, and I can actually listen to her and know what to help her with.
Information that was given was really helpful. We'll be able to use it in our everyday life for our marriage, for our children, and everything else. So I really enjoyed this weekend.
It's helped me to be able to let down guards that I was not willing to let down, because now I see a change in him, and I see him, becoming a different person than he was. He's more excited about the whole project, and now we're thinking like, we want to be a part of something like this.
Stop telling yourself that tomorrow you're going to do better. Stop saying to yourself, tomorrow I'll find that program. Today's your opportunity to do something not only for yourself, but for all those around you.
In couple communication, you're going to learn a brand new process. This process is going to help you avoid ever fighting over petty stuff again. It's going to take you to a new level in your relationship as you learn how to listen for understanding, to clearly articulate and share from your own experience. You're going to get on the mats. You're going to have notepads. You're going to learn skills that you're going to be like, wow, if only I had known this at the beginning.
It's not too late. We are all on this journey. We are all on this continuous improvement plan. But guess what? You have to take the first step and let today be that first step for you and your significant other.
If you're ready to like each other again and be on the same team, this is the program for you. Sign up today.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. Today we're talking about the importance of structure in your relationship.
Nobody goes into a relationship hoping that it fails. Nobody looks at somebody and says, wow, I really want to get involved with them and have a ton of heartache and then break up and have this crazy life afterwards. I really want that. That does not happen. Anytime you get involved in a relationship, your hope is that this is the one that's going to last you across a lifetime. But we don't go into that relationship prepared to make that happen.
So I got a question. Why is it that when we go into a relationship that we find ourselves drowning? We find ourselves being overtaken with emotions because we don't know where we're going. I don't know what you want. You don't know what I want. And we just keep crashing into each other instead of building something.
Because couples let life happen to them. Couples don't intentionally say, you know what, together we're going to build a life together. And so that means we have to create some structure. When you're building something together, think of it that way. When you build a house, you first have plans. You have your architect draw out the plans so you know what it's going to look like. If you don't have structure, you have no idea what it's going to look like. You each are trying to manage your own expectations, which constantly clash because I'm thinking one thing, he's thinking another, because we did not take the time to come together and say, you know what? This is what I hope our life will look like. These are my dreams, and this is how I think we can achieve them.
And you know what? We're talking about the 5 P's, right, Tyros? We're talking about proper preparation prevents poor performance. And when you go
Say that again.
Yeah, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And when I go into a relationship with Cathy, today our world is not chaotic, right? There might be some variables that happen along the journey, but we're not caught off guard. We're not surprised. Why? Because we're prepared. In other words, like for example, we just recently experienced our refrigerator went out. But we were prepared for that. We had some extra savings. We had another refrigerator. I remember a time in our life, if our refrigerator went out, we would panic. What are we gonna do? We would run with like a chicken with no head.
And we would turn against each other. See, chaos still happens outside of our relationship. And so then we have built a structure in our relationship that helps us be able to navigate through that and navigate through conflict, navigate through surprises, navigate through shock, and then come to a place where we're okay, where we're growing stronger in spite of whatever it is that's happening outside of our control, like the refrigerator.
You know, that's a great thing because in the past, if the refrigerator broke down, we had no money, we would blame each other that the refrigerator broke down. It's your fault that you didn't take care of that refrigerator. We would find some reason, or really outside of our control, to fight, to bicker, to cut each other down. Why? Because we did not build ourselves up enough to handle the chaos that would try to come between us.
If you want to have a lasting relationship, and all of us do as we go into our relationships, then you've got to build structure around your relationship. So you are both striving towards the same things. You're coming together, you're making a plan to spend, a plan to save, a plan to get a home, a plan for children, right? Now, all of your plans aren't going to go according to your idea, but that's okay, because when you have structure, it's easier to pivot. When there's chaos, you don't even have a point to which you can say, okay, this is solid, we can pivot from here. It's like we don't even know where to pivot from because everything is chaos. Think about a tornado. Everything's spinning around. You don't even know what to grab first. Versus if a thunderstorm comes, it's like you can still see clearly. The wind isn't pulling everything apart. And you're saying, okay, wow, you know, we need to close the shades. We need to close the door. We need to close the windows and make sure the windows are up on the car. You know where your starting point is.
When you strengthen the relationship, when you are really embedded with each other, right? You're in it to win it, no matter what happens. Win or lose, we're gonna win together, we're gonna lose together, right? We're in this together. And when you live a life with structure, no matter what happens outside of your control, you got this. Why? Because we've already made a commitment that we can weather any type of storm because we're building ourselves up, that we have structure, we have order. We're not living a life of chaos. Chaos brings confusion, right? Chaos brings hatred. Chaos brings jealousy. Chaos breeds all these things when you're not living a life of structure. And if you live in a realm of jealousy or you can't trust one another, we promise you, we guarantee you, you won't make it.
When you bring structure into your relationship together, making decisions about, you know what, this works for me, and you know what, that works for you, let's do it this way. Now we are creating stability, security, and safety in our relationship. And that will help us weather through any storm that comes our way.
Even in the midst of incarceration, man, that's one big storm, right? Because now you got to talk through the phone. How
That's
do you
like a
right?
tsunami.
That's a tsunami, right? But when you're building a foundation, even in midst of incarceration, even through the visits that you get, through emails, to phone calls, to whatever means of communication you have an opportunity to bring order in your life. And you got to take advantage of those times. Take advantage of the sit down where it's quiet time, where you can talk to one another and share your hurts, your pains, your growths, your victories, and your losses.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how. How do you begin to build structure in your relationship? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. Today we're talking about the importance of structure in your relationship.
And why structure is a positive thing. All those negative connotations about structure, you've got to overcome them, because structure will help you create a sense of safety and security in your relationship.
You know, right now you're experiencing where somebody's imposing structure on you. And you know what? Once you embrace it, you're not going to fight it. You're going to take those key principles that you're learning while you're growing inside prison, right? Where you're learning structure, where it's being enforced, right? When to go to bed, lockdown, count time, you know, when child is, all those things. This is for your betterment. This is to make you better, not bitter.
In order to really develop structure in your relationship, to take those outside parts of structure, like bills coming on the same time every month, right? Those imposed parts of structure, and actually incorporate those into a structure that you create in your relationship that helps you thrive, the first thing you have to do is stop hating structure. You must recognize the value of structure or you'll never create it.
You know, that's true, because I remember there was a time I hated Cathy telling me, you know what, you know the bills due, save your money, and I would go to the bar and I would blow the money. You know what, that was my structure. That was my way of thinking. You know what, don't worry about it. I'm living check by check. I got this. I got another check coming. I can spend the money today because I'm going to get paid tomorrow.
That's right.
That was
Until tomorrow was 2 weeks from then and we had no more money.
No more
because
money.
the lack of structure created all that chaos. And so, but we, even though we saw the chaos, we didn't accept the fact that, you know what, we have a need for structure, and so we could never implement it. We'd talk about it, but because we didn't really have the buy-in, we never recognized the value of structure when we were living in chaos. When we stopped, we said, wait a minute, we need structure, and then we were able to implement it.
But we had to have a candid conversation with each other. We had to be real with the chaos in our lives. And then the thing about it is, when you're having a candid conversation, I'm talking about keeping it 100, right? Keeping it real. You got to own your part of the highway. You got to own your garbage, your baggage that you're bringing into the relationship. Because I had so much baggage, didn't know it. Why? Because I was in denial. Everything was about who? Was about me. If I wanted this, I got it. I didn't ask permission. I didn't ask for Cathy's blessing. I just went and did it.
So once you recognize the value, the second step is a candid conversation, because, okay, we recognize the value, but now how do we fix it? What are the things that are really crazy in our relationship? And being real. That is so important, because the next step is to now identify what are your top 5 priorities in your relationship, for your relationship. Because now that we recognize, hey, you know what, there's chaos, we got to bring structure, and you know what, we both are on the same page about this. Now, let's decide what, because if it's more than 5, you're going to get overwhelmed. So 5 things. It could be buying a house, buying a car. It could be having regular date nights.
It could be just getting up an hour earlier so you're not late for work. Right?
So whatever those things are that you agree together is going to help reduce the chaos in your life. You want to write down those top 5 priorities and say, okay, these are the things we're going to work on to create a healthier, thriving relationship and a calmer home for us.
Now, the fourth thing and the last thing is you got to check in. Once you begin implementing these 5 priorities in your life, you want to come back and examine them. Are they working? Are we meeting our goals? Do we have structure in what we've written down?
Check-ins are so important. You really need to know whether or not the things that you put as priorities and the new things you're doing together are working, because you could have put too much structure, which means you're bringing rigidity to your relationship, which is causing it to suffocate. But by checking in saying, that really isn't working. You forcing me to get up every morning those 2 hours early is actually causing me to resent you, because you have to be to work at 4 a.m., but I don't have to be to work until 9. I don't like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning with you. And so as you check in, you can adjust the way that you are making those things a priority and actually reaching those goals.
So be flexible. Structure doesn't mean you got to live like a robot. Structure doesn't mean you got to dictate like a dictator, right? Structure means you're growing. You're growing into a place of where you have a flow. You're developing a flow chart between the two of you where you can grow, you can prosper in everything that you're doing, and you don't have to live in chaos anymore.
Keep in mind that as you're checking in on the progress on those top 5, that your top 5 might change. For example, it might be, these were your top 5, and now, my husband was in prison. As he came home, our priorities changed. When I got pregnant, our priorities changed. As we get older and we have grandchildren, our priorities might change. And that's why the check-in is so important. Those candid conversations are so important, and constantly and consistently checking in on your top 5.
Coming up, we're going to talk about our final tips. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
One day, he invited me to attend these classes he earned for taking part in the TYRO program. I thought it was just a way to get extra visits. But I went, and there I saw a different man.
My once estranged 4-year-old son now sees me as a hero, as do my 2 stepchildren. I'm proud to say that I've just achieved 2 full years of continuous sobriety.
Today I'm a father, friend, neighbor, a man of honor and integrity, a man worth following. Without this program, there's no doubt I would have been a statistic.
I have to give the Ridge Project and the TYRO classes a great big thank you for finding the man I married.
So, to the Ridge Project and all my other TYRO brothers, I'd like to say thank you, God bless you, and here's to another year of being leaders in a society wonderful enough to give people like me a second chance at the American dream.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. Today we're talking about the importance of structure in your relationship.
Structure adds so much value to a relationship. It helps us get on the same page, understand, recognize our goals, and then actually achieve our goals because we know what it is we're trying to accomplish together.
So if you want to be successful when you come home, and if you want to be successful in the relationship that you're with right now, right, you have to have a plan. And when you have that plan, you have to have structure around that plan. You can't just have a plan and have no idea how you're going to accomplish it. You need a structure around your plan.
Think about a game. When you play a game and you've got game night, if everybody knows the rules, it's so much fun. It reduces the tension and stress and arguments because it's like, wait, that's not, you just cheated. That's not how you're supposed to play. But when you have structure, you know what game night is, you know what game you're playing, and you know the rules around the game. It provides freedom. The same thing with structure in a relationship. All my cards are on the table. All Ron's cards are on the table. We can organize those cards together in a way that actually supports a healthy, thriving relationship across our lifetime together.
When you have structure in your life, this goes alongside with what Cathy's talking about. When you're having game night, right? You know the rules, you're having fun. Well, I used to be in a band, and we practiced for what? Showtime. And came showtime, we knew our part. I knew my part as a percussionist, as a drummer. I didn't have to worry about any other team member or any other band member. Why? They knew their part. And together we made a band, and we were really good at it, and we had fun. Why? Because we had structure from the beginning to the end.
And the same expectations for the same outcome. When you work together as a team and you build that plan with a structure in order to achieve your goals, your satisfaction with each other and with your relationship multiplies. You want to make it the distance, you got to build structure.
So thank you for letting us be part of your journey on today's TYRO TV.
Until next time, always remember that
we are rooting for you.